2030 and the Great Reset. What are countries that you can get residency in and have an ultimate plan B from this global control plan that they have against us? Specifically, if you are a multimillionaire, high net worth individual, you have options around the world. I want to focus on specific regions of the world, avoiding obviously the main Western countries, the European Union, although there are some countries in the EU that are against this, mainly in the east of the European Union, like Poland, Hungary, Czech, Slovakia, Romania to an extent. These countries have more freedom, in my opinion, for a multimillionaire than the Western EU countries, but we're not going to focus on those. We're going to stay outside of the EU and outside countries like Switzerland, where obviously the World Economic Forum hub is. Now, the first region would be Latin America. I'm not suggesting you to move to Latin America, but to at least have some sort of plan B in Latin America, whether that's in South America, Paraguay, Argentina. I wouldn't really recommend Chile. It's going in the wrong direction. Uruguay could be a potential one if you want to relocate there, although it's quite boring. There's really not much to do. And I've been to South America a couple of times. My favorite one, it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for freedom, for nobody to touch you, you can do whatever you want. That would be more Paraguay. If you're looking for a little bit more developed, a little bit higher class, you have to be careful because the danger is increasing and obviously the economy isn't doing that well, but Argentina could be good. Some people prefer Uruguay just because it's a lot more sleepy, and some people prefer Chile because it's a lot more developed. So it really depends on what you're looking for. My favorites would be Argentina and Paraguay. Paraguay is super easy to get residency. I wouldn't recommend you to go and live there. If you're single, for example, it's not the perfect place to find a wife, like a lot of people are saying. It's not the perfect place to live. It's not the perfect place to buy a house, anything like that. It serves its purpose. Each country serves a purpose. We're not going to use Serbia for Latin American style living, for doing whatever we want, because it's a much freer country than the European Union, but it's still right there next to the EU, and some things are harder to do than in Latin America. So for ultimate freedom, for kind of doing whatever you want, while sacrificing a bit of safety, while sacrificing development, then definitely South America, a place like Paraguay. Now let's move on to the Balkans. The Balkan region of Europe would be one of my favorite regions in the world. My favorite countries in the world would be Serbia, Montenegro as well, Albania to an extent, Bosnia to an extent, although it's very underdeveloped compared to Serbia, for example. They're candidates to join the European Union, but they will not join the European Union, at least in the next 10 to 15 years. The sentiment of Serbian people, I'm a Serbian citizen, is that they don't want the aggressor. They don't want to join the aggressor. NATO and the United States bombed Serbia 20-something years ago, and they don't want to join that control, that surveillance state that, in my opinion, is the European Union. So we're staying outside of the EU while still having European lifestyle, European people, amazing food, great development, safety as well, which is extremely important. Having safety in your life as a multimillionaire, that is extremely important. You're not going to get a plan B in some random town in Brazil because you might get mugged. You're not going to get it in some random place where you might get stabbed. We're focusing on the safest countries who can also get a plan B. And I mentioned South America, but also I forgot to go over to Central America as well, and also Mexico. Although Mexico does follow a lot of this agenda, they do impose a lot of restrictions. They are moving in that direction. It's quite woke. It's one of the most gay places in Latin America in my experience. I think there is freedom in Mexico. There is danger, but there is freedom. Nobody's gonna stop you to give you a traffic ticket, and if they do, they just want some payment. Nothing day by day is going to happen to you apart from the safety aspect. You need to worry about that, obviously, and be careful where you go and what places. There are safe places in Mexico. I lived in Mexico for a while and I absolutely love it. The nature is amazing, the people is amazing, the food is amazing, and it's very simple to get residency, citizenship if you have a child there. Argentina as well, if you have a child in Argentina, that's becoming extremely popular. And also Central America, Panama, El Salvador, Costa Rica, very free places essentially from all of this globalist agenda. I would say El Salvador is the most aggressive and being anti-Western agenda, anti-Western surveillance and all of this, but still these countries cannot just do whatever they want because the banks rely on US dollars. The banks rely on euros. The governments rely on keeping access to the Schengen area, on potentially having access to the United States, on potentially having clients in the United States. on potentially having US stocks. So no country apart from like a Vanuatu or Nauru or Cambodia or a place like that is really going to do whatever they want. They have to follow what the West follows to an extent. So we're looking for those countries that are not following to the fullest extent and surveilling us and checking what we do on a day-by-day basis. So I think Central America has a lot of freedom. Costa Rica, careful with the crime. I would say Panama is a little bit better, although the crime aspect, although I loved Costa Rica, I think it's absolutely beautiful. El Salvador is also extremely beautiful, extremely safe as well. No murders in more than 1,000 days. So definitely a place to consider. Have residency. El Salvador, you can get citizenship if you donate $1 million in Bitcoin or USDT. So definitely great options to have as the ultimate plan B. And if you want to go to any of these countries for residency, banking, citizenship legally, go ahead and book a call with the link in the description. We'll either help you set up residency or citizenship in any of these places or connect you to the relevant accountant, accounting firm, or lawyer to help you as best as possible. More to Europe or the European side, you also have the Caucasus, like Georgia, for example. Some people recommend Armenia. I didn't really like it that much, but for some people it works. I wouldn't personally get an Armenian passport. I would take a Georgian passport, for example, or next to it Azerbaijan, although you have to be careful with this area. Obviously, there's the issues with Azerbaijan and Armenia. There might be mandatory military service for these countries. So we're not really looking at them for citizenship. We're more looking at them for a lifestyle plan B. A lot of people love Georgia. A lot of people love the Georgian banks. A lot of people love the Georgian taxes. And it could potentially be a great option for you to have just a residency permit, just a place to consider home, maybe a place to invest, maybe a place to have some money that is more crypto friendly as well. Another region of the world would be the Middle East, specifically Dubai and the UAE. Obviously, the UAE has introduced their 9% corporate tax, and they do have to follow things that the West wants them to do because they have great relationships with these Western countries. They can't just keep being a tax haven forever. They don't want to be in blacklist. But overall, at the financial level, there's a lot less taxes, a lot more freedom, a lot easier to move large sums of money, very crypto friendly. You can buy property in crypto. You can easily get residency. I've talked about the UAE a million times. I still think it's an amazing plan B. It's where millionaires choose to go to. It's where millionaires choose to buy property, to put investments, to open a company. It's a safe haven of the Middle East. So definitely it works for a lot of people just to have it as a plan B. If you're still living in a high tax Western country, it's fine to have a plan B in case you ever need it in the future. And if you're worth millions of dollars, it's fine to invest $50,000 all the way to $500,000 or even $1 million in crafting your ultimate plan B in case everything hits the fan in your home country. Another honorable mention for the perfect plan B, a country that is not trying to surveil you or control you in any way, would be Mauritius. They have great relationships with the West while still not surveilling their citizens, while still not trying to control their citizens. They do have strong AML requirements, which obviously most countries that are decent or you're going to spend some time in or you're going to use the banks, they're not going to be blacklisted, they will have some sort of AML requirement. It's not just about moving money wherever. We're not doing anything criminal. We're not doing anything illegal. We have to follow the requirements and the regulations. Mauritius, with moving money, it's strict, but it's a beautiful place. It's decently developed. It's easy to get a 10-year residency. If you want to get citizenship and actually commit to Mauritius full time, that could work. And in my opinion, great place to be far away from everything, both geographically and in a digital level. And then moving on to Southeast Asia, countries like Thailand. I spent a lot of time in Thailand. Obviously easy to get the Thailand privilege card, easy to move to Thailand. The banks are getting stricter. They did ban a lot of bank accounts. They did block a lot of bank accounts. They're blocking transactions. So with Thailand banking, I would be very careful. I mentioned before that I've never used Thai banks because of the horror stories that I heard. So just be careful with Thailand. Great for lifestyle, great for freedom, great for doing anything you want. You want to be careful with dealing with the locals, but overall, a great place and easy to get residency, as well as other countries like Malaysia. A lot of people love the MM2H program. They love the tax treatment. The same thing in Paraguay, Panama, Georgia, Malaysia, countries that have territorial tax systems that are not trying to tax you on everything you do all over the world. And other countries and territories, for example, like the Cayman Islands. It is a tax-free territory, tax-free islands where you can have amazing networking, very well developed, great banking, great infrastructure. It's still obviously under the West. They still have to do anything the US or the UK or these Western powers tell them. They have to do proper due diligence. They have to do extreme AML because they don't want anything to go through the cracks. They're not independent from the West, but they're places where you can have a great lifestyle while also an extremely tax-friendly lifestyle and potentially another citizenship if you actually decide to live there, and very easy for a multimillionaire, for a wealthy individual to have residency, to have banking, to open a company, and to have more financial freedom. And the last group of countries would be other Caribbean islands like St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Dominica. These countries, although they have to do what the US and the EU tell them because they don't want to be banned from these countries, they do retain a lot of freedom. If you're getting citizenship in one of these countries, you're probably not going to go and live there, but getting a citizenship from one of these neutral countries does allow you a couple of islands that you can potentially live in, another passport to travel on. That's why I recommend to have citizenship by merit, citizenship by investment, citizenship by donation, so you can have another country to belong to, another passport you can travel on, more options, more privacy in case anything happens in the future with this world that is getting less and less private over time. One of the places that is becoming less private over time is the European Union. They've installed a new surveillance system rolling out over the next couple of months. You want to find out all about it right here. Make sure you pay attention and you follow the advice that I'm telling you to protect your freedom, your future, and your finances. Be very careful. Watch it right here.